Yes. First one don't count. Good evening, everyone. According to board policy, before we start the meeting, I need to announce that we do have two speakers this evening, Ms. Cindy Ott and Ms. Angela Leiter. They will both be speaking to a agenda item. Will each have 5 minutes. Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell? Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item will be the moment of silence by Mr. Jerry Denton. Yeah, I didn't get one either. Okay. I still didn't get one. We'll go ahead. All right. Okay.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity. Thank you.
Next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Brandy Roulette.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 was the Pledge of Allegiance. I apologize. Item number 4 is approval of the board meeting minutes from September 13th. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Y'all got
Yes.
y'all got voting buttons?
No.
No.
We don't have
Okay.
voting buttons. Janet, just go old school and
Okay.
record them. Next item is number 5. Is Ms. Barber here? There she is.
Good evening, President Allen, Dr. Vinson, and board. It is a really exciting evening tonight because we get to celebrate 11 total students tonight. 9 of our high school students are National Merit semifinalists, and we have 2 commended scholars that we would like to celebrate this evening. And so before I ask Mrs. Jill Taylor to come up this evening, I just want to thank Dr. Vinson. I want to thank you for your leadership in our district. I want to thank you for keeping this at the forefront of all of our minds. Board, I want to thank you for the SAT suite of assessments. That's allowed our students to take it in 8th grade, again in 9th grade, 10th grade, and then as 11th graders trying to qualify. I would like to thank Carla Dias and the instructional team, Kristen Hennis, Jennifer Peterson, Sharon James, and the entire team for really looking at rigor and relevance from a pre-K through 12 perspective. And then again, Mrs. Taylor, one of our amazing, amazing math teachers at the high school. We would not have the success that we have if it weren't for her leadership and her team. So I'm going to ask her to come up at this time and talk a little bit about the program, and then she's going to introduce the students tonight.
Okay, so my name is Jill Taylor, and I do teach AP Calculus, and I do lead the BA Scholars team of teachers. We also have Jonelle Wilson, who helps with math, Lisa Dixon, and Brenda Lewis, who help with English. We work with our top students, and we try to prepare them for the junior year PSAT, because that's the year when it counts for national merit purposes. So we conduct a summer-long program, and then we also conduct weekly study sessions in the fall leading up to the October exam, and our next group of students is taking the exam this Wednesday, so we've been working with the next crop of juniors. We're so proud of these students and all of their accomplishments. They've excelled academically, and they've also worked hard at it. Sometimes we think that just because they're smart, they don't have to work hard, but they do have to work hard at their craft also. Becoming a National Merit semifinalist or commended scholar is a major accomplishment. To achieve this award, they have to score in the top 1% nationwide on the PSAT as a junior. So these are exceptional students. This is a prestigious honor. It sets them apart from other students at our school and nationwide. And along with this can come a lot of scholarship dollars. It depends on where they decide to go, but it could end up with full tuition, maybe full tuition, room and board, and even a study abroad stipend. So I know they're looking into those possibilities right now. But we're so excited and proud of them, what they've accomplished. And so as I call your name, you guys will come up here and get a certificate and stand over to the side over here. All right, so we'll start with Bo Offit. Then Ethan Anderson, Kyle Bergwall, Evan Cambergill, Alex Kirby, Grace Lee, Tristan McCarter, Lydia McNally, Daniel O, Evan Acree, and Leah Cruz. So let's give them a round of applause.
We'd like to talk to them.
While you're passing out those certificates, one of the things I wanted to point out is, first of all, Ms. Taylor, you're amazing. We understand that you have been carried the yeoman's load in making this happen, but also the administrative staff at the high school, Ms. Barber, you're too humble, because I understand that you and your staff have embraced this, and this takes hard work, and it especially takes hard work for the students, and keeping them motivated to continue working toward this goal is phenomenal. I believe this is the highest number we've had since 2005. That's a long time, folks. So again, so proud of your staff and these students and your families, because I know it means heartache for your families and the time that you're spending staying up at night for all of your AP classes. So thank you to your families also for the sacrifice you've made to make this happen.
Would each of you come up and just say your name, what your future plans may be? You have guests tonight, if you'll introduce those, please. And then the board's probably going to ask you some very tough questions. So, come on up here.
Hello, my name is Bo Offit. I plan after high school to go to Oklahoma University for paleontology.
Wow, that's cool.
And I have my parents here tonight with me.
You're doing wonderful, Bo. Don't want you to be nervous.
Doing great.
Can you tell us who your favorite teacher is? Maybe who's been the biggest impact academically at the high school for you?
My favorite teacher is Mr. Summers, because he's just a really cool guy and he's always very interactive with his class.
Awesome.
Cool.
This class is tough.
Anybody else, any questions?
Well, for one thing, I mean, I think it's exciting to see the sheer number of academic achievements. I mean, that is just, I mean, the hard work, the effort, and I mean, a full commitment from family, the school, and yourselves above and beyond. I mean, that's just really incredible. And again, to the sheer number, I mean, you're representing Broken Arrow in such a way that it's extremely remarkable. And, you know, we've challenged the Dr. Vinson and the staff to really, let's give focus to academic achievements, you know. and be recognized as probably one of the premier schools in the state. And you guys are doing it. And that's hats off to you guys. I'm so proud of you. And so thank you for your hard work. And thank you everybody for else contributing to their hard work. So it's a pleasure just being honored with you guys.
Congratulations, Bo.
Congratulations. Thanks, Bo.
Do you want them to stay up here so we can take a picture?
Yes,
Yeah, we'll
Bo, we're gonna
probably-
take,
Yeah,
get
you
your
can't
picture
go
taken.
yet.
My name is Kyle Bergwall. I'm not sure where I want to go to college. I do know that I do want to go to college and that I want to major in business. It just kind of depends on how it falls with National Merit Finalists and all that with scholarships. And then I'm here with my dad, Matt Bergwall, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know my mom, Michelle Bergwall. She was the COO here for 11 years. So,
Teacher that's impacted you possibly?
At the high school, I would probably say Miss Lepp. I had her for both AP Euro and AP Seminar. She's really pushed me to work harder and succeed and do well in all that I do.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My name is Alex Kirby. I plan on attending the University of Tulsa for a double major in biological science and psychology before attending OU Tulsa School of Community Medicine for a medical degree specializing in psychiatry. One of the most influential teachers I probably had would be Miss Brenda Lewis in AP English. She's been extremely motivating and she gives awesome feedback, which has helped me reach my goals, especially with National Merit.
Do you have any guesses this evening?
Anybody with you?
My grandpa in the back, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tristan McCarter. I probably plan to attend the Criminal Justice Investigations program at UCO. And I say the teacher? Yeah. And my favorite teacher is Mr. Thompson. She's a really cool guy, and you can talk to him about anything.
Very cool.
You have any guesses this evening?
My mom.
I guess I'm up. My name is Lydia McNally. I'm just applied to ORU. I really hope I get in. Kind of nervous about it. I plan on majoring in communications and minoring in biblical theology, possibly double majoring. Who knows? I'll figure it out when I get there. Teachers that have impacted, man, I don't have time to list like every AP teacher I've ever had because they all take their jobs, so seriously, and they take us so seriously, and they want us to succeed. I would say Miss Dixon and Mrs. Lewis both had like a major impact on my passion for doing well on the PSAT. They were so encouraging. I didn't even have Mrs. Lewis, but I still like regularly visit her and talk to her. She's just been so encouraging. And I guess if I had anything to say about the whole thing would be encourage academic success, but not at the expense of having fun in high school. Because they say that you can't do it all, but you can. I've been able to be involved in everything I wanted to do, been to every school dance, and yeah, I guess that's my piece for you today.
Hey, great advice. Great advice. That's perfect.
Any guests?
Oh, yes. My parents, John and Amy, are back there, and then my grandparents, Jim and Linda.
All right.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Probably have to take my mask off for this. Yes. Okay. My name is Daniel O. I'm not sure what college I plan to attend yet, but I do know that right now, my major changes every once in a while. It's like, every 4 weeks, it's like, okay, I want to do this now. But like right now, I'm pretty solid on biomedical engineering. I think that's something that's really interested me. As far as influential teachers, oh gosh, there's so many of them. My English teachers were great. Miss Lewis was definitely an influence that I had, and she was one of probably the driving force that actually helped me finally, get to this semifinalist position. My science teacher, Dr. Stobie, oh my gosh, he's a genius, but I think he really helped to connect me with the high school a lot more because I could resonate with him a lot more. Any other questions? I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have any guests with me, but I do, like, you know, my dad had to drop me off, go somewhere real quick, and he'll pick me back up, obviously. But you know, no, I mean, not to like rag on my dad or anything like that. I'm sure, like, both of my parents are extremely proud of me, and you know, I think that's enough to know. So, you know.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations to you all, and we look forward to you all being named finalists and narrowing down to tell us where you're going to school at next visit. So congratulations.
And one last thing I want to say, you know, you mentioned all these high school teachers, and I know all of you know this, but those high school teachers are standing on the shoulders of all those teachers that came before. And we understand that to create a merit scholarship, a national merit scholarship semifinalist, it takes 12 years. It's like building a great athlete or building a great musician. Everyone continues to pour into you, and then look what happens. We're so proud of you, and we thank all of the teachers that came before those high school teachers as well that made this happen.
Congratulations.
Let's take a picture.
It's good.
Miss Taylor?
Yes, she is. I know, I was like, she gets to look at it.
Shall we get in the front?
Okay, so squeeze together a little bit, Miss Friend, and everybody takes one little step that way.
You don't get in that way.
Yeah, put that
Stick your
top.
head through there.
Perfect. Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3. Get on the 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good, thank you.
Congratulations. Great job. Great job. It's always great to hear from the students, their perspective. So that's
Okay, you like playing this family?
I know. My rib hurts from that last gentleman. It was pretty funny. Next item, number 6, Dr. Vinson.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was off. Sorry about that. Got distracted. Okay, so this item is I bring to you tonight a motion to have a title change to Mr. Larry Shackelford, because that's the first one, as Chief Operating Officer. Larry came to us as the Director of Facilities. He has experience. I'm going to turn my microphone on. He has experience. He's been a superintendent. He is probably one of the best relationship builders I've seen in this business. And he also has incredible follow through. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. And so he's quickly created a reputation in the district as being that guy. If you want something done, you better call Larry because it's going to get done. Not only that, he's just incredibly supportive and understands that why we're here. It's everything we do is about students. It's about what we just saw in here. And so for that, I would like to bring that to the board to change his title from Executive Director of Facilities to Chief Operating Officer. We will not fill his previous position, so it is no add.
Any discussion?
Honored to make a motion to approve.
Second that.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes. Mr. Shackelford, would you like to speak for a minute, or we want to congratulate you?
Very, very grateful. Thank you. My wife would have been here, but she's at home with 4 of my grandsons cooking dinner. Her school got blown away last night by the tornado, so she's kind of rattled right now, as you can imagine. I do want to say that I'm very honored. I'm very humbled. I'm very blessed to be back in Broken Arrow. I have a wonderful team in our operations department. Just a lot of wonderful, hardworking individuals. I know that since I've been here, Dr. Vincent has been very supportive. I'm just so grateful to her and just her confidence in me. And also all the members of our leadership team. I've had an opportunity to work with them. And I can, fit into that group because they're such amazing, and I hope I don't let them down. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Ms. Shaw.
Congratulations.
Next item, number 7, Dr. Vinson.
Okay, number 7 also is a recommendation for a title change or a promotion for Miss Rosalind Van Jackson. Rosalind came to our district, I believe it was Assistant Director of Transportation, wasn't it? And quickly wowed us. She's an amazing professional. She's intuitive. She is such a problem solver, and nothing is too daunting for her, and she just has that calm demeanor. We immediately saw a change in transportation. Everything she touches is gold because she just has that leadership mentality and ability to calm people, but then also look for solutions at the same time. So for that, I bring to you a recommendation to promote her as Chief Support Services Officer, and we will eliminate her previous position as Executive Director of Enrollment and Support Services.
Once again,
Questions? Go ahead, Dr.
honored to make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette? Yes. Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ms. Jackson, you have the floor. Congratulations.
Thank you. I will try not to be too long because I have a tendency to get emotional and cry. I don't want to do any of that tonight. But I do want to echo some of the sentiments that Larry shared. I am truly honored, privileged to lead alongside such distinguished members of leadership under the direction of an awesome board. And I look forward to having the opportunity to fulfill the needs of this district in servicing our people and our staff. I have a service heart, and I'm very, very proud to work within this district. It's my family, going on 7 years, and it's been a tremendous honor. And I thank you very much for the opportunity. I do have my family here tonight.
Oh, that's
All
great.
right.
Squeaked in. My husband Paul, my daughter Audrey, who graduated 2 years ago from Merrill High School, and my daughter April, who will be graduating this year. She's a basketball player. She ran straight in from basketball practice, and I told her if showers not necessary, she So again, thank you to you all. I love you very much. My husband especially, all those early mornings doing road checks, and he asked me if I really need to have an alarm that loud, and I said yes. He's been very patient. I love you all. And thank you all again.
Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, next item will be comments from the public. Our first speaker will be Ms. Cindy Ott. Ms. Ott, Mr. Dent will tell you 1 minute, and then
Okay,
when you're getting there. So you have 5 minutes to speak.
okay, thank you, Board Superintendent. I am going to give some credit to some people that have influenced me stepping out in this last season of the craziness that has gone on. One, I attend City Elders, which is strengthened my resolve in standing up for what I believe in, and a podcaster named Jaron Jackson, which is a local Telegram speaker that is the reason that I have started like I have. And he always starts his things giving his bias. And I guess I would say my bias is that I'm a Bible-believing Christian and a constitutional defending patriotic Army mom. I last spoke to the council or the school board in May when I discussed the scientific studies that we had looked at or could look at from either side of the aisle as far as wearing a mask. And I'm speaking tonight because of the results that are going to be presented to you. I think that during that time I mentioned the school actually had the capability to make up their own decisions based on statistics that they would have from the years prior to or with a mask to see if there was any effects on the students. And this time, based on the survey results, I'm glad to see that. But if you would be leaning towards reintroducing a mask mandate, I would suggest that the science department could do their own studies to see one aspect of how a mask could affect a child, and using a petri dish and a swab stick, take some masks that have been worn for different amounts of hours and see what happens. That's one effect of a mask, that scientific data that you have that doesn't look from one side to the other. But more than that, I think I need to remind myself and all of us together that our founding fathers wrote documents that based the founding of our nation on biblical principles and our God-given inalienable rights that gives us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have freedoms, and those freedoms have been sustained through the years by the blood of many who have died. And I just want to say that freedom isn't free. I have my little purse that I carry. I'm going to just walk by here. I have that embroidered on the front. These are the uniforms of my son. I have pins for 3 of his team members who were lost and 1 platoon member that was lost. That causes me to want to stand for freedom and say, freedom should be freedom. Freedom to choose or freedom not to choose to wear a mask. It's my choice, it's your choice, it's the students' parents' choices. We don't want to harm our children by forcing them to wear masks. And I'm going to end with Jesus' words in Matthew 18:6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged around his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea. I just want everyone to choose based on our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Angela Leiter.
And Ms. Ott, as someone that's not a good public speaker, you did great. Because I don't like to speak either, so.
Good evening, Dr. Vinson, President Allen, and school board members. I'm Angela Leiter. I'm a parent of 2 Broken Arrow elementary age school children. I would like to thank the district for taking the time to conduct the survey on the mask policy, or the mask policy survey. I felt that the district did a good job advertising this survey with both reminders, calls, and email notifications. And then leaving the survey open for the length of time you did was also conducive for maximum participation. As I was taking the survey myself, a number of things went through my mind about how different these first few months have been compared to last year when there was a mask mandate. First, it has been so nice seeing all the smiles on the faces of the students and the teachers and the staff. Also, despite the doom and gloom that's put out 24/7 by our media, the school year at Highland Park has been fantastic. Both of my children have had a wonderful first 2 months of school, settling into their new grades, making new friends, and getting to know their new teachers. I have good news to share. At least at Highland Park Elementary School, life is normal again. Kids are playing at recess with their other friends in other classes. Students can see their teachers' facial expressions during the school day, and these children are having PE with other classes. Despite what our news media would have you believe, the world did not end these first 8 weeks of school. The doom and gloom did not happen in these 8 weeks, and the entire schools entire schools did not shut down these first 8 weeks. Broken Arrow Public Schools is showing the world right now that our school life is back to normal for our children in Broken Arrow. So as you know, and you're going to see, the survey was overwhelmingly against a mask policy by both students and staff. Our hardworking teachers and our staff have obviously seen how well the systems that are in place right now have worked so far without the need for any mandatory masking. I know this year, as I have been in and out of my children's school, there have been some children wearing masks and many without masks. And this policy of mask choice is working. I think that the school board should continue the current policy against mandatory masking and to continue allowing parents and students and staff to decide what is best for themselves and their children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item, Mr. Bowser. This is actually information only. It's not, there's no voting going on here.
Okay, so on the topic of masks, we'll back up. There we go. So as was already talked about, we on the 24th of September decided to do a mask survey to be able to indicate whether or not parents or staff were in favor of a policy for indoor masking. We left the survey open for a week. We felt like that was a good amount of time. In fact, the first 2 days of the survey, that's when we received 60% of the responses. So people were ready to vote, and there was some that trickled in the rest of the days that it was open. We offered up the enrollment center, or kiosks in the enrollment center for parents, patrons that needed that to be able to take the survey. We had some that did take advantage of that, so it was a good offering there. We decided to do it on a one student, one vote basis. There are actually 3 different reasons why we decided this. One was anonymity. If we did it based on how many guardians a particular kiddo had, let's say, parents were divorced and you had step parents and all of those kinds of things, then we would have to know more details about each student and each parent that, how a vote was cast. And so in the interest of anonymity, it seemed to do it on the basis of one student, one vote. The second reason is that you have a reverse problem. Let's say you have a parent who has 3 kiddos in the district, and if they only got 1 vote instead of 3, then it doesn't really solve the problem. It just shifts the burden to number of kids versus number of parents. And the third reason is that parents might want choice. They might want something different for their elementary kiddo versus their high school kiddo. Vaccinations might play into that and the ability to receive the vaccine. And so we felt like one student, one vote was really the best way to be able to approach the survey. We also offered it to the staff, knowing that the parents' survey would ultimately, that's what we were really taking a look at. But we wanted staff and them to be able to voice their input as well, because we feel like that's always an important consideration, and we want their voice to be heard. So let's look at some of the logistics. Not to get too much into the weeds, but I feel like it's important to know what the logistics are. So we asked parents to be able to provide their student's ID, their school site, as well as their grade level. The survey was simply in a yes or no format, and I provided the survey question again just in case we wanted to know specifically what that was, because not everybody in here could take the survey, as a matter of fact, because not everybody in here has a kiddo in Broken Arrow Public Schools. So it's, are you in favor or not in favor of an indoor mask policy requiring all students and staff to wear masks indoors, and the ability to opt out based on medical, religious, or strong personal beliefs? So it was just a one question survey so that patrons could answer yes or no. So let's talk about how we examined the results, because I felt like it was really important that we validate the results. There's no point in giving a survey if we have invalid results. So that part was really important to me. So there are multiple steps that we went through. The first thing is we eliminated the submissions that had no answers. There actually were about 30 respondents that put in the student ID, put in the grade, put in the school site, and then didn't answer yes or no. Probably was an error somewhere along the way, and in some of those cases they may have even cast another vote. And so essentially what I did was I filtered out all of the no response submissions because they wouldn't count towards either side. The second thing is that I used the data provided by parents, by the submissions, to be able to concatenate, to use a data geek term, but to create a unique identifier for each individual vote. And so basically what I did was I took the student ID, the school site, and the grade level to be able to create this unique identifier. So let's say your student ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because our student IDs are 6 digits in nature. And then let's say your school site is identified as you pick whichever elementary or high school site you want to choose, but each school site in our district has a unique site code. So in this instance, let's say the site code is 789, and then the child's grade for our fictitious student here is 10. Then you would create a unique identifier that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so that would create that unique identifier for that specific vote. And every single vote, the over 5,000 votes that we received that were valid, they all had unique identifiers. The third step is then compiling all of the data from the student information system. So we took all 19,600 kids and created a unique code for each one of those kids using that data, and then compared it against the votes that were actually submitted. So if the vote you submitted didn't match the data in the information system, then it was cast out. We didn't count that vote. And so it sounds incredibly complicated, but it actually is pretty easy. So if you're interested, I'll show you sometime. So the fourth step is that you remove the invalid votes, right? Once and we had some invalid votes. Maybe it was, there were several instances where either they tried to put in a false ID or they mistyped a false ID. It was very possible for them to be able to do that because I knew I could filter the results on the back end. So it didn't matter to me if somebody wanted to create, and type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and vote 500 times with that student ID because we just filter out all that information. So it really was immaterial in that regard. But then the fifth step was that we had to eliminate the duplicate submissions. So there were some patrons who voted more than once. And so it's really easy to filter out those duplicate submissions so that they only get one student, one vote. And again, it validates the data. What's the point in giving a survey if you don't have a valid result? And then the last step is that we eliminated the submissions in cases where patrons both voted for the mask policy and against the mask policy. And so, there's really no way to reconcile what was their real vote. Maybe they changed their mind. Maybe it was two parents. My wife and I, maybe we voted, opposite, those kinds of things. In the end, they cancel each other out. And so the easiest way to sort of reconcile that is just to eliminate both votes, and then they don't count one way or another. So that leads us to the data that you have seen that we have pushed out prior, is that almost 61% of our parents that participated in the survey voted not in favor of the mask policy, and 39% were actually in favor. And then staff, very similarly, with 61.5% and 38.5%. Interestingly, if you break down the data, I want to just give you a couple of more details in this regard. If you break down the data by grade level, for example, what you'll find is that in every single instance, those grade levels came out in opposition to a mask policy. If you break it down by site level, whether it's middle school, I can give you specific statistics. At the high school level, 9 through 12, 62% of parents were in opposition to a mask policy. 60% of middle school and 62% of elementary school. So it was pretty categorical across the way, and seemed to validate the results all throughout. So there you go. I mean, I'm glad we did it. And it's interesting to me, or I think the public is glad we did it too, because of the high response, the initial push out of the survey. They wanted to vote right away, and the people. I mean, we did send out a few reminders, and you can tell the days that we sent out a reminder, we got a few more votes, on those particular days, but it still wasn't near the response that we received on the initial 2 days when we pushed out the survey. Are there any questions about it?
I just want to say thanks for doing the analysis and thorough studies and giving the explanations. I'm comfortable with a very strong process and the validation piece to this. So again, thanks for the hard work on that, and anyone that was involved. It's comforting to be able to get that and know that our patrons are being heard, and I would also like to commend our staff for everything that they're continuing to do to fight this epidemic, and the cleaning and just the constant things. And I'm proud that here in Broken Arrow, we're making decisions based on what's occurring in Broken Arrow, and we're not making decisions based on what our other peers within the state are doing as well. And again, that's something that I feel strongly about being on the board, is that we're continuing to focus on the education of the children. Tonight was a pure example of recognizing those national merit candidates and things, and that's something that I think here in Broken Arrow, again, I'm very proud of, that we continue to look at how do we give the best opportunity for our students, how do we give them the best environment to learn. This isn't over, and we'll continue to look at I'll say I, as being one of 5, will continue to look at the data and the facts and information that are here in Broken Arrow. And again, I think we just continue to do what we're doing. The numbers are remarkable. I hope everybody has been able to see those, and I'm sure we can talk about those as well too. But I mean, we're seeing a decline in our numbers, and so and we're continuing to see our kids get educated in a great environment. And so I think we stay the course and we continue doing what we're doing, and thank you.
I would just like to say that a lot of times, lots of sleepless nights over it, and it's been really hard because the weight is on our shoulders, it feels like. And now I feel like that some of that weight is gone, because it's not just us 5 making the decision for everyone. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Mr. Bowser, I appreciate the survey as well, and the breakdown of grade levels. I know we didn't push that out from the result base, but to hear you give that, I appreciate that, because I'm sure people probably had concerns or questions about that. Well, what if you had 90% elementary, or but I appreciate you giving us that breakdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thankful for the hard work that Dr. Vincent, her team, everyone in Broken Arrow's done to help during this difficult time. Our numbers are going down. They may hiccup one day with the staff side, but it looks like our students have been relatively consistent going down in numbers, and even percentage-wise, comparative to neighboring districts with the mask mandate, we're lower percentage-wise with our student counts. So I think it's a combination of all the hard work that everyone in the district's done, those having the choice that feel they need to wear the mask are wearing the mask, and I think it's contributing to the results of our numbers. And the cleaning, I mean, there's multiple things that's going on within the district. So with that, and we've been able to provide a great school year for our kids to learn and enjoy and develop, and not have the mental aspect of throwing the mask on. we're gonna get questioned of, you know, the numbers. You still have 81 students. Well, I think we had 60-something when we first measured students at the start of the school year. So we've been going 2.5 months and our numbers haven't gone up dramatically. So, and the question is, where do you, if you put them on, where do you take them off? We're at 0.42% of students that have positive. Is it 0? Because I don't think we'll ever get to 0. So I appreciate all the hard work of the district. I appreciate you gathering the survey and Dr. Vincent allowing us as a board and a district to make the best decision for those in Broken Arrow that we feel is best, and allowing our parents the choice to make that decision if they feel their child needs to wear that mask, instead of a school board sitting up here going, hey, you need to wear that.
Yeah.
It was mandated by the state last year. That's why it got worn. So I think the numbers are speaking to themselves. I think the results of the survey speak to themselves. I think our district is doing everything they can to keep our staff and our students safe. Because if the staff didn't feel safe, I would assume that those numbers would have been much, much higher in favor of a mask mandate. Right. So doing something correctly. So, and I appreciate all the hard work and effort. So, and Mr. Foreman, thank you for the daily updates on the numbers. It's
yes, sir.
Greatly appreciated. So,
Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
okay, next item is general consent. I believe we have to, and we want to pull item 11. Is that correct? To bring back at another time, or what do we want to do to clean up the language on that, Jerry, Steve?
Yeah, I think we had good intention. I think just some of the wording there caused some maybe unintended consequences on that, of not consequences, but interpretations.
Questions.
Let me correct that. Unintended interpretations of that was brought up, and so I think just for the benefit of being able to move through this quickly and address this, we'll just go ahead and let's pull item 11 and then put it back on maybe next month's agenda.
Table item 11 from
or at least
the
that's my
consent.
proposal.
Okay, Dr. Vincent, does that, with us doing that, does it impair anything moving forward, operational wise?
No, sir, we'll be fine.
Okay.
So I would have to get a motion to table item 11 of the consent and then approve the rest of the consent.
I make a motion that we table item 11 out of the general consent items
And approve the remaining.
and approve, and approve the remaining ones.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you. Next
Good thing you
item.
didn't ask my name at that moment.
Next item, Ms. Kearns, item 60.
Good evening. Tonight I bring back to you as an action item the exact same policies that were brought to you a month ago. No changes have been made to the policies in between that time period, and we ask that they be approved tonight.
And you have these in our base camp, is that correct?
Yes.
Also, that's why I thought, I read them, so I just make it double checking.
So do you want to go through every single one of them and just kind of, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't mind. They
No, I
may
know.
mind.
I make a motion that we approve.
I second that.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And I make light of that, but we know that all these have also been reviewed by legal, so.
Yes.
Next item, Ms. Dolahan. Good evening. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Good evening, President Allen, members of the board, Dr. Vinson. I'm here to give the treasurer's reports for the end of September. Our cash balances report shows a total of $54,855,000 in assets for the district. Included in this are investments that total $44,420,000. Our collateral report shows a total of $22,846,000 in collateral pledged for the district. Our deposits that require collateral total $15,312,000. leaving a balance of available collateral in the amount of $7,534,000. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the activity funds, as of the end of September, receipts total $1,292,000. Disbursements total $516,122, leaving a balance in the activity funds in the amount of $4,787,000.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Ms. Metavalis.
Good evening. First item are the change order reports. We show a decrease this cycle of $52,969.35, and I would recommend your approval of those change orders.
Okay. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
Second that motion?
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes. Go ahead.
Second item are the encumbrance orders for the period of time September 9th through October 7th. Would recommend your approval of those encumbrance orders totaling $1,022,712.02.
Any questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
Second that motion?
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Ms. Enoff.
Good evening. Have the financial reports through the end of September. Our first quarter is complete. What I'd like to start off with this evening is just to kind of talk about the cash flow, especially in general fund, with trying to balance our normal operations with the influx of our federal stimulus dollars starting to come in. So first of all, you can see our state aid allocation is just about where we were at this point last year. The legislative session ended with the passage of quite a large increase to common education. However, thus far, our initial allocation for Broken Arrow is sitting right about $51.9 million. So we will need that to increase at midterm if we hope to see a gain in this category. And we all know the importance of our October 1 accredited student count for in terms of funding for the district, and so we're hoping that comes in strong for us. The state treasurer's report that was released last week was very promising for the state economy in terms of collections being higher and on target as far as projections, and so that's always good news for us because we know that anytime the state has revenue issues, that trickles down to common education. And since we represent the largest portion of that state budget, we are usually first on the block in terms of any cuts that might be passed down. So we will be keeping a close eye on our October 1 accredited student count and our midterm adjustment, which the Board of Equalization, as we all know, meets in December, and then those allocations are passed down to us in January. Ad valorem collection, at this point, we're just collecting prior year collections. Our valuations for the district did come in very strong, and so that is definitely a positive for the district. We are continuing to keep an eye on the pending litigation in Wagner County in terms of one of the entities that have filed protest taxes on both their 2020 and now 2021 valuation, and so we will continue to watch that as it proceeds through the legal process. And looking at our federal sources, the majority of those collections to date have been the prior year claims that have finished out fiscal year 21. We have not started claiming any of our ESSER 3, the last stimulus package that was passed. We have not started claiming any of those dollars because as of yet, our application has not been approved through the state, and that is still pending. And so just to remind the board, that amounts to almost $14 million for Broken Arrow. And so we hopefully will get that approved so we can start claiming those dollars very quickly back into the district. So building fund, again, ad valorem is the main source in that, and some of the local expenditures for other aspects of revenue into building fund. And child nutrition, you can see what a change a year can make in child nutrition. A year ago, we were not quite sure if general fund was going to have to relieve child nutrition from some of their expenses because of the hit the pandemic has taken. And luckily, the federal sources of revenue have really stepped up for this fund, and they are feeding more kids than ever. And we all know they play such a vital part of the educational process. It's good to see that we are getting those federal dollars to back what we're expending and to serve our students.
Ms. Enoff, is there any indication of when they anticipate to stop that from the federal level?
I don't believe, to my knowledge, it's good through the end of this year. I don't know if they've extended it past that date.
Is that academic year or like calendar year?
The academic year.
Well, I believe that the summer feeding program has been approved for the next academic year.
So with our fiscal year ending 7/1 and the summer, does that still consider part of this school year?
I don't know that it's being, summer feeding program with child nutrition funding is kind of a standalone. They're not really, they're in 3 sections instead of 2. So I do believe it will be funded fully through the summer.
Okay.
Looking at our general fund expenditures, the biggest outlier from this time last year is the one-time stipend that was given to returning employees in July, and so that's why you see such a discrepancy in looking at it from year to date. And again, those expenditures are part of that ESSER allocation that I talked about earlier that we were waiting on approval for. Building fund, everything is pretty consistent, and child nutrition, you can really see their expense increase this year as the number of students that they're serving has gone up, and so luckily the revenue is following those expenditures. And at this point, again, we're monitoring a couple things. We're monitoring the state budget very closely. We're monitoring our ad valorem and our making sure we're managing our federal stimulus dollars appropriately. Cash flow is so important to the district and how school business operates, and so balancing that and making sure we're within a good fund balance is, there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Any questions? Ms. Enoff, next item.
My next item is to ask the board to approve the sanctioning application for the Broken Arrow Wrestling Booster Club. This item was pulled the last meeting because there were some additional questions on making sure that youth wrestling had been properly separated from the booster club. And after reviewing the financials and the paperwork with their treasurer, we have deemed that everything has been segregated correctly.
Thanks for doing that work and investigating it and taking care of that, so it's appreciated.
Absolutely.
Make a motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
My last item is to ask the board to approve the sanctioning application request from the Broken Arrow Parent-Teacher Association individual site units. We approved the council last month, and this is just to approve the sanctioning for all of the site units, and we greatly appreciate the support of our PTA. They're vital to our success.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Miss Charlie Lane is in the audience with us, and we so appreciate everything that they do for us.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve?
I second that.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item's new business. We have none. Executive session about some real estate.
All right. Make a motion to convene to executive session?
Second that.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes.